How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Box to Box. Unfortunately, we're out of the Europa League. I'm sure all of you saw it. 1-1 draw to Sporting, led to extra time, led to penalties, and here we are. It's the Premier League now, 11 games to go, and we've got to go all out for it. We deserve to win something this year, in my opinion. But first, we have Palace this Sunday at the Emirates Stadium. And as usual, I brought my guy back, D. What are you saying, D?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
You good, yeah?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Our European competition once again.
That's fine.
No European trophy this year.
Look how we started. And
no, I can't lie. I need to stop.
I'm glad you said it because at this moment in time, when we move on to Palace, I want to see your energy and see if it's the same.
Nah, I don't think it will be the same. I'll be real.
But listen, this show always starts with the opposition team. We get a feeling of what's going on there and how things have been going. And at this moment in time, things haven't really been going for Crystal Palace. Haven't won a game in 12. I think the last victory was Bournemouth end of January. And literally just a few hours ago, we've heard Patrick Vieira's been sacked. And that's where I want to start with. Listen, Vieira, Arsenal legend. We all know what he's done for the club. It looked like things were going well for him over there, especially last season. This season, some obstacles, but was it the right decision?
No, it wasn't the right decision. And I'm furious. I was mad. Driving here, I listened to nothing, just the car, for an hour. Because I can't fathom the fact that he's been used as a scapegoat. We look at the results basis. Yes, 1 win in 12. I 100% understand it like that because end of the day, it's a results business and you have to be winning more games. But when you look at the wider context of things, we were talking about last year, a different Palace side. A Palace side that was playing possession style of football, scoring goals, FA Cup semi-final. And then all of a sudden, this season, there's this collapse. Where does this collapse come from? Lack of investment. He's been used as a scapegoat from the owners, and that's what I'm mad about. The fact that we got rid of him 2 days before this game. I think this game was the game for Vieira to potentially, come to the Emirates. Try and lift us, come to the Emirates. Of course, Arsenal legend, kind of disappoint you lot like that. I was actually looking forward to it. But he's being used as a scapegoat. I mean, we didn't invest enough money. It's 2023, we still have Nathaniel Klein as our right back. Yes, we have some quality players in that squad, don't get me wrong, but even in this hard run of games, which has been very difficult that people don't talk about, we faced Brighton twice, we faced United twice, we got you lot coming up, we just faced City, we faced Tottenham. All them sides, they are difficult sides. And yes, we didn't pick up enough results, but there was tight margins as well. Brentford are a very solid team this year. But the Brentford game, last minute reckless decision by Jordan Ayew cost us that 3 points. Yeah. We got a point from that by giving the ball away. Brighton game, what can Vieira do apart from go on the pitch and head the ball into the back of the net? One-on-ones, 6-yard box headers. So for me, they clearly didn't believe in him in the first step. And there's reports that's coming out right now that's talking about last year they were thinking about sacking him. Last year.
That's mad.
Turkish, we were talking about Palace last year. You saw how I was. It was like, I can't wait to face Arsenal.
Everything
he lifted
the
whole mood. He understood the club. The Patrick Vieira as a player compared to as a manager was two different people. He was calm and collective as a manager. He had the respect of all them players. Why do you think these players joined Crystal Palace? Because they want to play for Crystal Palace. It was Patrick Vieira. We lost all of that for what? Right now, the managers that's been listed, Roy Hodgson. Are you taking the piss?
He's the favourite at the moment, right?
I can't believe it. Roy Hodgson. That's what's being mentioned. Now, how can I not be mad?
I hear you.
It's taken one step back. We got rid of Roy Hodgson to start this whole new process. And they didn't back him. They didn't bring in the players. And they used him as a scapegoat. So how can I be here and act calm?
Do you think this will have a knock-on effect? Because you mentioned the respect the players would have for Vieira. You mentioned that a lot of them would have come for Vieira. Do you think this sacking, premature sacking, as you mentioned, will have a knock-on effect on the players? And with the summer window a couple months away, Zaha towards the end of his contract. And listen, we've got 11 cup finals to go. It's the same for you, in terms of when you look at where you are in the league, 12th, but only 3. It's so tight at the bottom from 12th where you lot sit to the relegation. I think 3 points separates it all. Do you think this sacking will have an effect on the team, the morale? Do you think it'll have a more negative knock-on effect than positive, which is probably what the owners are hoping for?
So you're talking about 12th, and let me quickly just start there as well. But there's a reason why we are 12th at this stage, because during this hard run of games, yes, we didn't get any wins, but we picked up a point against Man United, who are doing well this season. We picked up a point against Liverpool as well. We've even against Brentford, we should have picked up 3 points. We've still picked up points. Our problems hasn't been picking up points in terms of, for the point's sake, it's been getting them wins. and also scoring goals in front of goal.
Yeah.
So going back to your original question, do you think it's going to have a negative effect? I think it is. I think that's it for Zaha. He's gone, because Zaha's relationship with Vieira, you can see it by the training ground videos. It was actually decent. Like for the first time, the guy was enjoying his football, scoring goals, was excited about our whole performance. And how we're trying to play football.
And Zaha supports Arsenal, right? So he must have grew up on Vieira.
Exactly. He was not only Zaha. I mean, imagine you're a footballer and you go into Palace and you got Patrick Vieira as a manager. The likes of Eze, Doucouré, and all these players that come to Palace, they came to Palace because of Vieira.
He's a legend of the game. He's a legend of Arsenal for sure, but he's a legend of the game as well.
Not just Arsenal. This guy is in the international stage, in a domestic stage. He's done it. He's gone to other clubs abroad as well. He's a legend of the game, as you said it. But of course, it's not just about legends of the game, because there's, if you class it as legend, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, and all them players, they're legends of the game, but then they got sacked quicker than Patrick Vieira, because the reason for that is because Vieira was actually doing a decent job.
He's shown something.
So for me, the reason why I didn't want him sacked is because there's no way a manager can drop off like this. I think the majority of the fan base know the bigger problems. I'm not saying Vieira wasn't at fault, because some of the stuff he could have done differently, 100%. But I would have liked to see him being backed fully, and then afterwards we can have the discussion about whether he's a man or not. Because right now, it's going to be the same cycle. Bring in a manager and repeat the same short-term cycle,
Stay
bring in
up,
success.
you extend the contract, and then...
But then, end of the day, if you don't get rid of these players like Jordan Ayew and the Jeffrey Schlupps and the Nathaniel Kleins, which we haven't done, we've gone with the cheaper options. The football club's that problem. It's not just a manager problem, it's a football club problem. And that's why I'm here just mad. I'm mad. How did we... Now, why before the Arsenal game as well? 2 days before.
Yeah, and with an international break round the corner as well, you would have thought, at least wait for this one, and then in the international break, assess things, if not end of the season, like you said, because I expect you to stay up. I know you're very close to it, but I expect you to stay up. I'm sure you do as well.
Look, I still... to be fair, it might sound mad, but by sacking him and some of the names that's been mentioned, I think it could get worse.
You're more worried.
Because he had the respect of the players. I think that's the most important thing. He still had the respect of the players. But now you bring in a manager and take away... Look, we've been very good defensively this year. Our problems have been in attack and scoring goals. But if you bring in another manager and you collapse the defence, which has been very solid for us, then we could be in a free fall. Right now, we ain't in a free fall. We still, as I said, we've still been picking up points. I know very rarely, and we haven't got a win in so long, but we've still been picking up points against difficult teams. We got Leicester coming up after you lot. We got Leeds, we got Forest, we got all the sides that's below us. I don't know who's up the fixture list, but they set us up. They didn't want this Vieira to be at the job, because it's been pathetic. Like the team that we've been facing for the past 3 months, there hasn't been like a Leicester in between or a side that's below us. It's been just ridiculous. All the teams above us, all teams that's fighting for something, apart from maybe Villa. But that's the frustration, though. That's where the frustration comes from. It's a fixture list that went against them. Yes, he should have picked up more points. But I would have still gave him to like Leicester and maybe Leeds and Forest and see them games. And if we were still struggling, having no shots on target, scoring no goals, fair enough. But it's a rash decision.
Because you mentioned you're picking up points here, a draw there. But even the losses over the last 12, aside from the Tottenham one, which was 4-0, I believe, it was all 1-0s, 2-1s. It was all very tight margins. So you're actually right in saying the defence is pretty much doing their job. It's just problems in attack that's been the problem. The problem
in attack is a system issue, which Vieira changed in himself going into these games, and rightly so, because we was playing a 4-3-3 before Lukonga came in. Funny enough, Lukonga's saving the day. That's how bad the situation is in midfield.
We'll talk more
we'll talk about Lukonga. And then we had the likes of, as I said, the Brightons and the Man Uniteds and the Tottenhams. So we had to change it about. We just had to go more defensive, try to pick up points here and there. But then again, he changed it against Brighton, and in the first half, we were creating chances. So it's not a case of this team was just lost and they can't attack and we're trying to attack. It's the fact that he did go more defensive. Maybe his counter-attacking approach didn't work in attack, but it worked in defence. But 100% he would have changed it up come Leicester or come Forest or all them games. Because we saw it even against Brighton, he did change it up because his job was on the line. And the players let him down. The players have to hold a bit of responsibility as well. How can you not finish your chances?
Yeah.
Now, what can Vieira do? I mean, what can he do?
Even against City, I mean, you stood
That's
firm.
A penalty.
And then the penalty was just reckless. I mean, obviously, Elise gave it away, but Ayew was involved in it somehow as well.
Yeah, that's a penalty. What can he do in them moments? So the overall play against City, I thought was fantastic defensively. I know they had a few chances, but I thought we'd done relatively well against one of the best attacking sides. We saw what they done in the Champions League just the other day. And we stopped them at bay as much as we can. It took them a penalty to beat us. So we had something about a game. But now there's a question mark. If that's gone, or could that go, what's going to happen then? Because yes, we can't score goals, but at least we had something and we could defend and we can pick up points. But now I don't know what's going to happen. Exactly. I don't know who's going to come in next. Roy Hodgson.
And we was talking before we went live and recording, and you mentioned Hodgson being the favourite, and I was like, really? I mean, that just sounds like it's a joke. It sounds like, oh, do you want Hodgson back then? But that is the case at this moment in time. It seems like he is the front runner for it in a sense.
That's the thing. What's the plan? What are we doing? Sack Vieira for what reason? Who are you going to bring in that's going to be better than Patrick Vieira? That's my biggest question. It's like we sacked him without any plan in advance or any purpose. What's our purpose right now? Just stay up. I 100% understand that. But some of the names that's out there, Roy Hodgson is not a saviour, by the way. He's not a saviour. He could easily get you relegated. I've seen that Palace first-hander as well. Trust me, he has some good moments, but it can also get a bit predictable. And Watford, he got relegated with Watford. So it's not like this guy is going to come in, is going to be the Messiah and save you. Them days are gone. The Big Sam days, the Tony Pulis and Alan Pardew days are gone. The only man that's right now in the similar category, Sean Dyche, which is at Everton. So right now we don't have them type of managers. Hasenhüttl is getting mentioned. Now, I understand that to a certain extent, but this is a man that just got sacked from Southampton because they're in a relegation battle and they lost 9-0 twice in the Premier League. How much better is he going to be than Patrick Vieira? Do you get it?
I can see you're frustrated. I mean, is this the general feeling amongst fans then? Frustration and anger?
It's genuine frustration, anger, disappointment, because as I said, we started a process. That word gets used around so often nowadays, but we genuinely felt like it was a process of something new at the club, something fresh, something to take us to the next level. And right now we're here talking about potential relegation battle. And why are we talking about relegation battle? It starts from the top. The top, where we didn't invest. We spent the least amount of money. I'm not saying spend money for the sake of it, but when we haven't replaced Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Wan-Bissaka has left us about 3 years ago. We're still talking about a new right back. Whose fault is that? Patrick Vieira's? Because that situation was there from ages ago. We got Joe Wood and Nathaniel Klein as our right back situation. We haven't got a backup left back. We got rid of Christian Benteke, who people laugh at him, but he did end up scoring a few goals and his hold-up play was decent. We got rid of Conor Gallagher. That's 12 goals by Benteke and Gallagher that we didn't replace. So what do you expect? The squad has regressed. The performances have regressed due to that, and you're shocked about it. If you was that worried about relegation, you would have come out and said before the January window, the owners were talking about 2 loan signings. There's no ambition. We've needed players. We needed players in the summer. And then come January, we're talking about 2 loan signings, which we've done 1 loan signing from you lot and another player from Stuttgart. But that's what I'm saying. It's a bigger problem for us. And based on that, no other young top-class manager would want to come to Palace. And I'm telling you right now, Vincent Kompany spoke about it earlier on today. And the fact that he said exactly what I'm thinking is scary, because why would he come to Palace if the board are just reckless in their approach?
Change their mind just like that. Listen, I mean, ownership issues, I've been familiar with those. Loans in January, I've been familiar with those. But like you mentioned, one of the loans, we'll move on from that topic. And, one of the loans, Lokonga, Arsenal player. An Arsenal player that, for a year and a half didn't really settle in terms of the first team squad and his appearances in the starting 11. But apparently there's some potential there. I haven't seen it. I haven't watched Palace much since he's been there, but I know he's slowly worked his way into the starting 11. And I've got a friend of mine that supports Palace, and he said he'd be interested in signing him in the summer. I mean, how well has Lokonga done since coming in during this tough time?
It might sound mad, but he's doing the basics right, but it seems like he's doing wonders. But it's just the basics. A midfielder that can pick up the ball, link up the defence with the attack, and that's it. Like, I'm not trying to sound harsh at all, but our performance have 100% improved since he's coming to the side. That's no disrespect to him. And I feel like he has improved, funny enough, his defensive game, which was a main concern at Arsenal. Like, he actually looks like he can defend better than he did at Arsenal anyways. I'm not saying he's brilliant, but he looks like he can actually track runners and do the basics as a defender. But he's just done the basics right. And I wouldn't go as far as I want to sign Lokonga, because I feel like we could still do better. But he has been a very, very good player since he's come in. But when he did come in, I was also excited for his sake as well, because sometimes you need to take a step down. You need to take a step down with the, lowering expectations, joining a club like Palace.
Out the limelight.
Exactly, out the limelight. Patrick Vieira as a manager, legend of the game, midfielder. You can, bring you back to, just doing the basics right, first and foremost.
Get your confidence up.
Exactly, get confidence up. And I think Vieira done that. And I think he got the best out of Lokonga in the short term. But I feel like there's still a player there. But I don't think for Arsenal. I don't think for Arsenal. I feel like Arsenal, if you're talking about pushing for titles and Champions League, I don't think Lokonga is going to be your man, even as a backup option. But he has been very good. He has been very good for us. But that's aside for Palace. When you compare it to Arsenal, it gets, conversation change.
I get you. It's good to hear he's doing well there. He's picked his confidence back up. But from what I saw, I agree with you. I don't think he's the standard for where we're going. But we'll see. He's got, 11 games to go for Palace to make more of a mark and see how you feel in the summer. But you talked about Arsenal, you talked about us, headed into Champions League football, and I think that is the bare minimum we've achieved this season. A return to Champions League football. It's been a hell of a long time. Last time being 2017 when I made my debut on AFTV after that terrible defeat in Munich.
What was the score?
Yeah, you know what the score was about.
What was it?
You know what the score was.
I can't remember.
Listen, my man was just nearly crying here about his club. And just like that, he's ready to turn it all around. And so, listen, relax, my guy.
I can't lie.
I think they know you're cocky and confident, but today's the day to be humble considering the situation Palace are in.
I'll be real. I'll be real.
Return to Champions League, that was banter back then. I have to agree with you. And we should.
8-2 in it.
10. So you actually didn't know. But listen,
that's what I was asking you. 10-2.
Yeah, it's peak. 5-1, 5-1. We move, man. We've never returned to the Champions League since. But we seem like a much better team now than we was then. We've improved. Arteta, who over the years Arsenal fans doubted, I doubted, opposition fans doubted. He's managed to turn it around completely. A lot of apologies, a lot of hands held up, and a lot more trust in him. You mentioned the word process. That kind of came along with Arteta and trust in the process and so on. And now a lot of other clubs are trying to do that. You mentioned with Vieira, Chelsea are trying to do the same. United with Ten Hag, all processes left, right and centre now. But when you look at Arsenal now in comparison to the years gone past when we used to talk, very different side, very close to a massive achievement this season, and that would be a Premier League tie. I know we've just been knocked out of Europa and our European form is so far off our Premier League form that I just don't understand why. I can't put my finger on it. What do you make of Arsenal now, considering where we've been?
So we spoke about it first game of the season and Arsenal's expectations, top 4. If you don't achieve top 4, Arteta, should he go now? That was a talk. I think this season's been absolutely fantastic, and I have to say, my bad, Arteta.
Another hands up.
Yeah, my bad. I have to admit it when I'm wrong. But I think I've seen the hunger. I think the young squad has played to your benefit as well, because they're hungry players, and that goes down to the manager as well, because he's got them motivated. We've seen the documentary on Amazon and how he approaches games. But right now he's sitting top of the league. I know you're out of the Europa League, but that might benefit you in a way. Maybe, but also we'll see how you react on Sunday, because few injuries, fatigue, could that be a thing as well? But overall, I've been very pleased with Arsenal this year, because I've been saying it myself, I can admit it. I've been waiting for the moment for Arsenal to drop off.
Yeah, because I know you got a lot of Arsenal friends.
Exactly. It's nothing about Arsenal personally. It's just, with my boys and stuff, just the banter and how they get onto Palace. I'm not going to say the things that they say about Palace because I don't want people to talk, say the same things. But like Sainsbury's FC or whatever, I'd just say, But anyways, I've been very pleased. I've been very pleased with Arsenal. I like the direction that you're going in. You've trusted the process. It has worked out. Then again, if you don't win the league, how would you feel now that you're out of the Europa League?
Frustrated, disappointed. I'd be angry about it, but I think that's normal. But I wouldn't hold anything against Mikel and go back to doubts again, because I feel like top 4 was the target this year. A trophy would have been nice alongside it. I think that should always be the bare minimum for Arsenal, a minimum top 4 finish. Well, I say minimum challenge, which will result in a top 4 finish and a trophy with it. We're out of all
I
domestic
disagree.
competitions.
Why should top 4 just be the bare minimum for Arsenal?
No, I said challenging should
Challenging
be
for
the bare
title, yeah.
minimum.
Arsenal,
and if you challenge, top 4 is a given.
Because I can't lie, over the years, I feel like Arsenal fans have disrespected their clubs, like their club, in terms of the actual
It's the ownership.
ambition.
It's the ownership. They're the ones that have
I
slowly
understand
but
that.
surely.
I understand that, but the expectations have dropped in Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal shouldn't be talking about just finishing in top 4. We've had this conversation. We've had these conversations for God knows how many years,
Yeah,
even before Arteta. But this should be Arsenal's level. I'm not saying Arsenal should win the Premier League every single year.
But they should challenge every single year.
But they should challenge every single year.
Yeah.
But now this also adds a bit of pressure to Arteta for going forward.
Consistency.
Consistency. And now next season, if you guys don't challenge at the same level, I'm pretty sure you're going to be frustrated, and the majority of the fan base might be frustrated because now the expectations have gone from one level, from just top 4, to now we have to try to compete for the Premier League, which is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
When you have the likes of Chelsea, who probably come up next season a bit better. You'll have, the Man City, Liverpool. So it's going to only get more difficult and probably require a bit more investment. But overall, this year, Arsenal, they are the favourites. There's no point ifs and buts. They are the favourites based on the football. Even the last-minute goals that you lot have scored. Title-winning teams do that. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's a bad thing. Of course, you don't want to do that week in, week out.
Yeah.
But if you're going to win titles, you have to get results either way, and you have been getting results either way. But if you ask me whether Arsenal is going to win the league, it depends on your run of games that's coming up after Palace. I think you've got some very hard games against some top opponents.
Away from home.
And now we're in the real business end of the season, especially for sides that want to win the league. It starts with Palace, but you have to pass the test. You have to get your heads up against you lot and pass the test against us. But if you don't, then...
Yeah, if we don't, listen, if we were to drop points against Palace Sunday off the back of going out in the Europa League, and then the international break becomes somewhat of a period of time, fans might start doubting whether we can do it more. If we win, we got 8 points clear of City, because City have got an FA Cup tie. Yes, we'll play the game more, but going 8 points clear with 10 games to go, that reads very well, and now we've saw Man City have got Bayern Munich in the next round of the Champions League, and then potentially Real Madrid or Chelsea next. They've got definitely 2 massive European fixtures, possibly 4 massive European fixtures to come in the next 4 to 6 weeks. That could play a part. They're still in the FA Cup. They're the favourites for that. Man United are probably just behind them, and then it should be one of them, unless a miracle happens and they both get knocked out. But going 8 points clear will be massive, but you are right, dropping points against Palace on top of going out in the Europa League.
We're going to be up for it as well. We have to.
Do you think? Because the reason I asked you about the players and how they felt with Vieira and whether it'll get worse is because you've mentioned they liked Vieira. A lot of players would have come for Vieira. Now that they saw the way he was treated in terms of his sacking, which you as a fan agree with, you say the majority of fans agree was frustrating, disappointing, caused some anger. Maybe it's all gonna unravel now in a sense. That's why
maybe not in the Arsenal game.
I'm probably more confident on Sunday than I was with Vieira.
Okay, the reason why maybe not for the Arsenal game is because we've got Paddy McCarthy, who's been at the club for a very long time. He's an academy manager. He's an academy manager. I understand that it's not like he's got a great pedigree, but he understands Palace.
Relationships work.
He's been a Palace player. And also he's now, been in the academy. Now he steps up to the first team. He knows the likes of Zaha. They played together back in the day as well. So yeah, overall, I have to say there might be a bounce back. Yeah. In a weird way, there might be a bounce back because I think he'll motivate the players. Also, there's some weird things that's going on. I mean, Vieira sacked a first team coach, Sean Derry, who's been a former player for us and also was part of the academy. But now we're hearing that he's actually still on the books. He's been sacked about a few weeks ago, but he's still officially part of Palace.
Do you think that's because they preempted they're going to sack Vieira?
Well, they're talking about sacking him last year.
So they must have had it in their minds.
Do you get it?
They must have their hand ready.
But then if that's the case, just get rid of him about 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's not a good position to, put your manager in when your hand's always hovering over the buzzer to let him go. It's like, what confidence does that? Because one thing about the Kroenkes, and I've got onto them, and I still don't like them as owners, but one thing about them is they put Arteta in place and they rode the wave because
they trusted him.
We won an FA Cup. But then for a few years, it was, 8th place finishes. It was just, form was up and down. But they gave him a new contract just as we was battling top 4 last season. Arteta was even surprised at the timing of that. But look at what it's turned into now, you know. So that type of ownership doesn't sound right.
I'll be honest. So one of our owners interested in buying a bigger club. So Harrison Blitzer, they're Man United up for sale. They've been interested. Chelsea up for sale. They've been interested. John Textor, who's another American owner that came in a pandemic. He's got a multi-club model. So he owns Lyon. He owns a club in Brazil.
Okay.
But we don't exactly know where his money's coming from. He set up a consortium to buy all them clubs, but he's not like the wealthiest owner, so we're not quite too sure where he's coming from. And then Steve Parish, who's been at the club for a very long time, he doesn't have the money. So for us, we've got one owner who doesn't want to be at the club.
Yeah.
We've got another owner which we don't really know what to expect. And then finally, we've got Steve Parish who doesn't have the money. So there needs to be a whole reset at the football club, because we've got people who are not interested in the long term of this football club. If there were, we wouldn't be in this position right now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. These people are making decisions. Steve Parish, who's saved us from administration back in 2010. Someone told me this. He's like, if it's Patrick Vieira, if it's any other manager, you talk about the managers and you talk about the results. But when do you look at the board and when do you look at the people that are making these decisions and say, what about questions about them? Because we've had Frank de Boer. We sacked him after 4 games when we tried the process thing. We had Roy Hodgson for ages. We tried this process thing. It hasn't been working out. For the past 10 years, we've been just trying to stay up. For the first time, they tried to have a bit more ambition, and we're back to square one.
So what, Parish took over from Simon Jordan then?
Yeah.
And look at how Simon Jordan left Crystal Palace, But
exactly. He left us in a sticky situation, and Steve Parish did save us. But then again, there are now, if it is Roy Hodgson, I feel like it's the end of that area for Steve Parish as well, because I think the majority of the fan base right now are frustrated because they feel like he's been using Vieira as a scapegoat. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Apologies if everyone can hear a car just honking his horn outside. I don't know what
Vieira, he's trying to come for the Arsenal job.
Listen,
he's trying to come for the Arsenal job. Remember talking about Arteta and Vieira swapping managers?
Listen,
we had a conversation.
Vieira, do you actually still believe Vieira will go on to become a successful manager?
I don't think Vieira's a bad manager. I really don't. And I feel like he's been harshly criticised about his time in Nice and New York as well. I've seen him become a good manager. I've seen him grow on the job as well. He's gone through difficult phases. And I feel like he deserves another opportunity.
Yeah.
And funny enough, there's been talks about maybe another Premier League club with bigger budget. And I would like to see that happen for his sake as well. Because I genuinely don't think a manager like that can just drop off just from that end to this end quickly. And our reason is based on the players. So I would like to see him have a go.
Back to the game now. So Sunday, you're pretty confident of a bounce back potentially.
I'm not confident.
I'm not confident, but okay, you're hoping for a bounce back.
I'm hoping. I don't think. Look, I'll say this. I don't think it'll be extremely surprising if a bounce back happens.
And who would you have to nullify in terms of Arsenal starting 11? Listen, William Saliba could be a big loss for us. He hobbled off against them Sporting. Tomiyasu too, but he's the deputy to Ben White. But aside from that, we should have a strong starting lineup. I'd assume Trossard starts instead of Jesus. Saka will be there, Martinelli, Odegaard. You'll have Thomas Partey in there. Who do you have to stop in order to be able to get a result?
I think Trossard. I know him from Brighton days as well. He's a quality player. And you lot have too many Brighton players for my liking. And that's another reason why he can't win the league. No, I'm joking. But Ben White is also another one. It might sound surprising, but he's had Zaha in his pocket whenever they're played. And Zaha is one of he's our most attacking threat. So I want to see that battle. But Trossard's been fantastic for you lot.
Yes.
It's been, I remember the Mudryk talks about Mudryk coming into Arsenal and everything's going to work. But Edu had a plan.
Pulled it out the bag.
Yeah, pulled it out the bag with his replacement.
Yeah.
So, I feel like them two players, Jesus, he's very good in the first game for us, but we know he's pressing, and pressing could be a problem for us as well. Partey. There's a lot of players at Arsenal. I can't just pick out one because you're top of the league, you're doing well.
Yeah, it's true.
And there's some quality players there. But if you're looking at different areas of the pitch, I think in defence, funny enough, I know Saliba is there, but the Ben White matchup is what I'm looking at. In midfield, Thomas Partey, and in attack, Trossard, because he's been great for you lot.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I like to ask that question. Usually the answer tends to be Saka, but in recent weeks, Trossard's got a couple mentions as well.
I didn't say Saka because everyone knows about Saka's threat. Exactly. You don't have to. It's like saying Zaha at Palace. Yeah, everyone says that as well. Even when we have these previews, I'm like, I ask the same questions. Oh, Zaha. Yeah. But yeah, look, I think Saka is a great player, but he looks a bit tired.
I get that.
I don't know.
I understand where that's coming from. Arsenal fans, that I know have said similar. But there's an international break coming up and there's 90 minutes to go before that. So a well overdue rest is on the horizon for him and many others. So we'll see.
Just one more game in his pocket, being locked up by Tyrick Mitchell, and then afterwards he can have a little rest.
Yeah, that might come back to bite you, my guy. I might have to call Scarfuggery if it does. But listen, let's end with prediction. We are the home team, so I will kick it off. Like I said, I'm more confident about it now Vieira's gone, because you mentioned with Vieira, Arsenal not having won in a little while.
Yeah.
This is the game that he could have picked it up. And I predicted 3-1 for the majority of the shows I've been doing over the past, couple days. I'm gonna
5-1.
You know what? I'm gonna stick to 3-1. I'm gonna keep it humble and say.
What was
3-1.
he thinking? Be honest.
4-0.
You don't respect us at all.
It's not even a bad. But you know what's in the back of my mind as well? You lot have a great recent record at the Emirates. I mean, at the Emirates, we haven't beaten Palace since 2018.
Yeah.
In the last 4, it's been a few draws, and I think you've won 1 as well. Yeah. So it's been a while since we've actually, got 3 points against you.
Oh yeah, you celebrated like you won the World Cup last time.
Which one was that?
Last year, remember? It was Aubameyang.
Don't talk about Lacazette and them, man.
Lacazette,
We've moved on a long way from that.
But that's what I'm saying. You come a long way
mentality,
from them.
Yeah.
Like, I was there at that game, and literally I saw like Ramsdale run all the way up the pitch. I was like, what's going on? You literally scored against Palace. It's like a draw, and we came away from that game like a defeat.
No, I remember.
That's what I'm saying. The mentality was whole different.
Trust me, I was vexed with
the
celebrations. You can't be celebrating a draw like that. I don't care if it's a last minute one or not. Get the ball, put it back, and try.
I'm not celebration police though. I'll say like people who go on to Arsenal celebrate like wins.
Oh yeah, but listen, celebrating now is more than understandable. Look at where we're headed. 100%. But talking about Arsenal gets the click, so it is what it is. Yeah. So I'm going 3-1. I can see it being worse for you guys, but I just don't see us dropping points, even though I just saw one of our worst performances of the season against Sporting. What do you think?
I don't know what to expect. Look, part of me says it could go worse, it could get better. Paddy McCarthy, he knows the players. Some of the players anyways, he's got the respect, and he'll be 100% more aggressive to the players in this game as well. So part of me there gives me that bit of confidence. New manager bounce, even though he's not a manager, new manager, but still someone new at the club. And a part of me saying, he's only had 2 days to work with these group of players, so what can he do?
True.
Maybe he tries to get the best out of the players in terms of what Vieira was doing. Maybe we go solid defensively again. So I'm going to go for 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1, so you still
I'm going to go for 2-1 Arsenal. I'll be happy if we get a goal. We'll be struggling to get shots on target, but we got a few against Brighton, which is a positive.
Yeah.
And hopefully the new manager bounce actually happens for the second time against.
Not again, man. Please, not again.
Sean Dash, Paddy McCarthy now.
It's so mad. We don't want another one of those. But D, let them know where they can find you. I'm going to tag his channel in the title as usual and put the rest in the description, but talk to them.
So yeah, Back of the Nest out on YouTube. So yeah, go head over there. We speak about Palace, of course, do lots of different content and reactions and everything. And I know from last time we faced you, a lot of people wanted to come on and get on to Palace. But yeah, if you want to check the Palace stuff, Back of the Nest on YouTube and TikTok and all the other social media platforms. But yeah, appreciate you having me.
Love my bro, come on. There you go, people. Like I said, channel link in the title, rest of it in the description below. Sorry. Give us your thoughts though, predictions, lineups. How confident are you that we're going to get over the line in the Premier League? Was the exit in the Europa League a blessing in disguise, as Robbie said in his fan cam? Or did you want to go and fight for both fronts like I did? We'll see, people. We will see. Only time will tell. Hit the like button on the way out. Let's get it up to 1,000, and love for the love as always, people. We're out. Peace.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.